We are here. It's 3 o'clock in the morning on the Pacific coast of the USA. I'm Susan Oxley, and I'll be leading this session. And we are here praying with all of creation in a time of climate crisis. Today, or this hour, our session is focused on COP26, the art of climate activism. So we have a special guest with us. COP26, let me start there. COP26 was the gathering of international leaders from around the globe, meeting in Glasgow to discuss the crisis of climate change and review promises and plans formulated in the past, particularly the Paris Accords. And there were high hopes for significant progress in international cooperation among the nations. Unfortunately, there was a growing reluctance on the part of wealthy nations to take any responsibility for the industrial contributions to carbon emissions. And the vast complexity of issues and funding that was involved prevented major agreements from emerging. There were a few small steps of progress. And one of the things that happened is that they were able to finalize the rules and guidelines that were to govern the agreements going into the future. But the sweeping changes that we hoped would occur did not. Michael Clarke, along with Andrew Fellows, traveled to Glasgow to witness and raise their voices at COP26, specifically advocating for the developing nations who contribute the least to the carbon emissions, suffer the most from the resulting climate disasters. Michael is an artist who, let's see, Michael, where is your artwork? Here it is. Michael is an artist who takes the time while he is there while he's at the at COP26 and other climate protests and gatherings. He takes the time to draw what he sees and to put his expressions down on paper in these very gentle, muted tones that touch the heart and bring alive the people and the situations that occur during the protest gatherings. So, Michael, I'm going to turn it over to you now and ask you to share with us, and I will change the slides as you tell me, okay?
Okay, thank you. Yep. I would like to thank everybody for being here. Happy New Year and peace be with you all. I'm just going to explain, like Andrew, I'm a member of Christian Climate Action, Extinction Rebellion, Community of Christ, which is most important, and a member of the Eco team. And I like to thank Andrew a lot for taking me to London and Glasgow. We make a good team, I think, as activists. Andrews is the brains, and I'm more the doer and drawing person. So the reason why I'm an activist is because, like it says, we are stewards of our earth. And the first picture you see below there is a picture I did because in England they were thinking of changing the law that we couldn't have our say, you know, and so I did that one. And we all have a right to say what we feel about things, and this is a way that I can do that. So if we can have the next slide, please, Susan. It's the same one again. Yeah, this one is when we went to Glasgow. We travelled up to Glasgow, and that was with Andrew in his electric car. So we had to stop once to get a new electric charge up. And on this picture here, you see a bit of my art, and there's a picture of me, and this is right outside of COP26, and there was a row of us against the wall with these signs, and we sat there meditating and praying on things. We had a few people come up and take pictures, of us, and some people asked and wanted to join in as well. And on this day, I think this was towards the end, we had two African girls, and one of them wanted to join in the vigil. And she did, and I turned to her and I said, it's a good thing you're doing, you've been an ambassador for your people going into COP26 and for young people. And she was she says, yeah, it's good that we can do that, but she said they wouldn't let us have our say in the actual meetings, and she was a bit disappointed. So, but I said, we're praying for you, and we pray that governments and leadership would change their mind. So the picture there, I did one of Andrew as well, but I did that picture on digital art, so that's that one. We got some more pictures from COP26, but we've also got some from London and other protests I've taken. So if we can go to the next slide, please. And I hope you can hear me okay.
Oh, yes, we can hear you.
Yeah.
You're doing great, Michael.
So, yeah, in Community of Christ, we have the sacredness of creation. We should care for our earth. And that's really important to me, that sacredness of creation, because before my father died, we used to go out into nature a lot. And before, I was really busy with the hustle and bustle of life and stuff like that. But spending the last few years of my dad's life going out and enjoying creation. So I thought I need to do something, and being an activist was that. If you'd like to go on to the next slide. Oh, so here's the one of Andrew on the vigil, but also the other side is near Westminster, and we've just been on a march with the Christian Climate Action from St James's Park to Westminster, where we met up with Extinction Rebellion, and that is a peace statue near Westminster. So, and a good picture of Andrew there with all these flags flying. Next slide, please, if you can. Now, this was another protest we did, and we're all holding, you can see Andrew there, and I think that's Graham next to him, and Caroline and me. Now, this is Christian Climate Action in Derby. We decided we'd give out leaflets and do some readings and hold these signs up. So this was like 2020, beginning of the pandemic, before we went to London. And Caroline Harmon is one of the founders of Christian Climate Action. And that I really enjoyed that day, because a lot of people come and got some leaflets and had a talk with us. I think we were also there in support of Derby, the roadway campaign to try and stop them building another roadway.
Mm.
Uh, so next one, please, if you can. I hope we're okay with these. So there's Caroline, and she's reading a book that both me and Andrew have, and maybe all members of Christian Climate Action, and it's called A Time to Act. And there's a few people from Caroline has a story there from the first time she protests. There's readings from Muslims, Buddhists, all different faiths, and some prayers in there as well. So on that day, we read those out. So if we can have the next slide, please. So this is again from COP26, and I did try and get a picture of the person actually with this on, but it wouldn't go onto my PowerPoint. So this is called the Coat of Hope, and this was at COP26. People I know from Christian Climate Action, they got this long coat, and they got people from all over England, probably all over the world, to make a patch of hope to go on that coat. So you can see it's got the sign there for Extinction Rebellion, Christian Climate Action. So that's the circle is the world, and the cross and it's like an egg timer, and then you've got the cross on top of that. But this coat, they were saying to people, would you like to wear the coat of hope? And it looked amazing, and all the work they've done on that, it looked really good. So,
Wow. Excellent.
Mum's just brought me a cup of coffee in. Next one, please. So this is just one of mine of people protesting. I think I did this one, but there was another protest in London in 2021, and it was the theme was about having a pink table. Coming to the table, it was called the protest, and I did this one. So it's people with the flag. So if I could have the next one, please. So some more of my art using digital art. Now we have police protests, and I noticed on this one in Glasgow, the police were wearing different coloured baseball caps, and I thought, oh, that's new. So I like to talk to the police because you should think of them as well when you're protesting because they're only doing the job. But we went up and asked about these hats, and I think the blue ones, the ones with the blue ones, do all like the computer work, and the orange ones were all like gathering evidence, and the red ones were the drivers, and there was all different ones. So I drew a picture of those, and then I did like a little flyer thing. There, make polluters pay. That was one of Andrew's sayings. Before we went to Glasgow, we were in Hereford, and this was a really nice, peaceful protest. Nobody got arrested. It was just like people sharing about climate change, singing, and we had Andrew Bolton with us, and he thought, "Oh, this is a really nice protest that people from our church would feel at ease coming to, because there was I didn't really see any police there, but there was it was just peaceful singing and talking about polluters." And so that's that one there. If you like to carry on to the next one.
Mhm.
So it was good to get Andrew Bolton out with us. So this is me, the original picture taken from this was outside of the Department of Transport in London. And you can see on my jacket, you can get from Extinction Rebellion, you get like patches to go on. So no justice, no peace. And my face mask, I did, you can see like a little church thing there. So that's Chesterfield, the crooked spire. The falcon is, or the peregrine, sorry, was for the two places coming together because there's a peregrine falcon in Derby, and then you got the Derby Ram. But this was outside of the Department of Transport, and I had a big banner holding there, and people were dressed in white, like forensic team suits with great big wheels across them, and they were lying dead on the floor right in front. And some of these people, well, most of these people who stayed there got arrested. And me and Andrew, we didn't want to get arrested. So what we did, we were arrest support. So arrest support is a person that you choose one of the ones that are getting arrested, and you stay with them. If they want you to take something, you can take that away. Or you get the number of the arresting officer, the place they are going to, and their name, and contact people for them, so that when that person is released from the police station, someone can be there to help them if they need so. The next slide, please.
Okay.
Okay, this was in London in 2021, and this is done on paper. I think this was the police, and this is the Guildhall somewhere there in London. And I took a picture, I drawn a picture. So you've got all the police in their high vis jackets, and
Mhm.
then some of the rebels have got into the Guildhall place and put signs up there. So, yep, next one, please. So this is also London in the city centre, and two women. You see the pink top there? That's the pink table,
Mhm.
and they had a giant pink table in about 3 areas in London, and these were the ladies that were on top with their gas canisters with the smoke going out.
Mm.
So next one, please, if you can. So there again is the come to the table, the pink table, and you can see the flag there. That's another one of my drawings on paper. So that was London 2021. We couldn't get to that one. So another one of mine, this time on computer, is Act Now. That's, you get loads of banners in London. When you're on protest, you'll have people shouting out, "What do we want?" And everybody will shout, "Climate justice." And they say, "When do we want it?" Now. And we're looking forward to when we go next time, because we've got a loud hailer now. We can shout it out on there.
Mhm.
So those are rebels there. And if you'd like to go on to the next one.
Ah.
So this is in London in 2020. And we did very much the same in Glasgow. You can see Andrew there with a clothed banner that I made. And so we got Sacredness of Creation and lots of things on there. and we got protesters. So this is when we started the protest at St James's Park with Christian Climate Action, and this is like the beginning of the pandemic, so people were wearing face masks and we were distanced a bit. And also there was Rowan Williams, who's a former Archbishop of Canterbury, and he was in the march, and I managed to get my sign in each video. So and we all started there and spread out so we could march distance. And again, the other side is at Westminster, right in front of Parliament, where what we did, and also in St John's Church in London, we shared the prayer for peace, and we would do Christian Climate Action would do a morning worship, and we got to do that the second day we was there. So next slide, please. So this is that march as we came into Westminster, and you can see a little flag there, and I don't think you can see the peregrine. Well, that flag I had to do the design for it. I did the painting of the peregrine and Chesterfield and the ram. When we march from St James's Park going into Westminster, Extinction Rebellion and Christian Climate Action met, okay, and my flag was at the front, and I was really proud of that. So, I don't know if that flag went to COP26 because most of our comrades from Chesterfield went to COP26 as well. So, but most of them play the drums and make a lot of noise at the front. So next slide, please, if you can.
Yes.
Thank you. So this is a protest I did in Chesterfield. Some of the banks are invested in fossil fuels. So this is me and some of my colleagues from Chesterfield Extinction Rebellion outside Barclays Bank. So that was 2020. The next one, please. Hope we're getting some more from COP26, but we'll do. This was COP26, and it's again the coat of hope, and that was a quick sketch. And the lady was like a rabbit. It was quite weird and wonderful. Next one, please.
Oops, sorry.
So this is one of my flyer things. My first protest was in Chesterfield. That'd be 2019, and we have, road traffic with the emissions from the exhaust pipe. We went down near a school dressed up in the white suits doing a dance. The air that we breathe, because the air is polluted, we wore gas masks like that, and I did that one. Next one, please. So this one is one of my favourites, and this actually got published in the newsletter for Extinction Rebellion. So I like doing the colours, and the people are easy to do. There's everyday people there, not all are Christians, and they're just everyday people. The next one, please. Now this is from a COP26, and there's a story to this one as well. This is a young female doctor and lots of other doctors were there. You know, they had a sign saying "Save Lives," and they were part of Ecocide. So they all met up and protested. These are security guards here, but JP Morgan, which is a Scottish bank, and they're a big investor in fossil fuels. We did 2 protests there. This was one of them outside. The next one we did, and this was brought up by Extinction Rebellion, and I thought it was really good because it had a biblical theme. We marched around that building 7 times. I don't know if you've read about Jericho, where they marched around it and then 7 times the wall fell down. So that was the plan with this, but maybe the thing wouldn't fall down. But we marched around it 7 times. And me and Andrew were marching around. We got stopped by the BBC. And when we kindly got round the corner, the police saying, "Are you in front or are you behind?" I think they were laughing at us. And we said, "We're behind," but we got stopped by the BBC. But we caught up in the end. And when we got round to the front, the drums started playing as if the walls were falling down. So that was a really exciting, you know, I really enjoyed that. And hopefully they will change their mind about fossil fuels. But I was really impressed with these young doctors. You know, they're working through this pandemic, you know, with all the hard work they have to do, but they still want to protest. So next slide, please, if you can. So this is in Chesterfield, and that's me holding a banner. 70% of the world's birds are chickens.
Huh.
So that was in Chesterfield, a march round there. So next one, please. So I did these flyers, and I think I've still got some, but I gave some out. COP26, don't just talk, do something about it. And so we got the Earth, the Moon, and the Sun, and you know that I was going to give those out. Oh, I was holding some sometimes just to because they do all these talks and they say they're going to do something, but we they just need to do something about it. They need to act on what they say. And when we were first there, the most action against climate change I saw was when we went to the green zone, because there was positive things about, you know, climate change, using fuels to run, not fuels, buses that run on hydrogen, electric cars, and seagrass, and all these things that can be used instead of other things. So if you could do the next slide, please. Those were the positive things we saw. So this is in London. Remember when I said we met the two marches came together. So this is Westminster. The Parliament's here, Winston Churchill here, and the police just barred the road there. And that's one of my early ones, what I did in 2021. And a lady actually brought that from me. I sold my first painting. The next one, please. Now this is Glasgow. You can see along that road there, you can see that great big crane. That was near where COP26 was, where everybody was going. So this was a protest in Extinction Rebellion, they have the Red Rebels. So they're all dressed up like in red wedding gowns, and they do slow marches, and I think there's some men in Red Rebels now, and I really like to see them. So they paint their faces, and they're all in red, and they really march slow.
Mm.
So there's some meaning there to the red wedding thing. So next one, please, if you can. Now this is uh, COP26 as well, and that river is the river that runs through Glasgow. And we decided we wanted to be, or they decided they wanted to be a bit away from the front and get people as they come in going through to COP26. And we decided to stop and do a vigil there. So you can see Andrew there just meditating, and another lady under the bridge. Just up from there was a barge and the Youth for Climate Change. We went in to see the youth. There was a girl from Northern Ireland and two from Glasgow. And I was really impressed with the girl from Northern Ireland because years ago, the Troubles, you think that young children want to get involved in, like climate change politics or anything. But she really stood out for her youth there in Ireland. So if we could have the next slide, please. So it's a bit of a mismatch here. So this one with the bus and the lady in the white is my friend Anne from Chesterfield. She got arrested that day in front of Department of Transport. So the picture below is people getting arrested. And there's Anne there, all dressed up. And on this side is me with the police. I think of people that are there as well. They were there doing a job. And day before we were walking home, and we got talking to a nice police woman and a nice policeman, and they gathered all the police in from all over England. So these people were, I think it was Birmingham or something like that, and some from Derbyshire. We got talking to them because I thought it's nice to have a good relationship with them. But they always ask you, do you know when the next demonstration is going to be, the next protest? But you don't tell them. They thought, oh, he might be daft enough to tell us where they're going to be next, but we're not. We're not. And the lady in the blue top is a doctor, and with ecocide, and she was protesting there. Next slide, if you can, please. So that's again when we were reading from that was in Derby, Time to Act. So next one, please, sorry. Right, and I think this is the last one. It was our last day, or second to last day, I think it was, wasn't it, Andrew? Yeah. And we have Latter-day Seekers, Community of Christ, and we have some in Scotland. So there's a picture there of me, Andrew, Jane, Elena, and Charlotte. So Jane, Elena, and Charlotte are or were members of the LDS Church, and thanks to Jane, she lent us her son's house to stay at while we're in Glasgow, which is really nice of her. And we said we'd go and do the climate worship with them. So Jane, we went to Jane's house, and Elena was there with her daughter Daisy. Rowan was there, but he was in a different room, and then Charlotte turned up, and we had a lovely meal. Andrew did the sacrament for us, and we talked about climate change, and then we we started a relationship there with people, and that's what it's all about. I think even with climate change activism, you make relationships with people. You've all got the same goal to help do something about climate change. So, yep, that's all my slides. But I just want to finish up again with the mission prayer. We said this every morning, and I'm gonna say it again now, because you know, when you're going out on protest, or even if you're at home, you're going out doing stuff, you're gonna meet people, and this prayer is all about that. So I'm gonna read it out, and
Okay.
I read this out when we were outside at COP26 on an online thing. God, where will your spirit lead today? Help me be fully awake and ready to respond. Grant me the courage to risk something new and become a blessing of your love and peace. Amen. That's me. Thank you, Susan.
Amen. Amen.
I hope it didn't go on too long and I was too.
Oh, no. I didn't ask you this ahead of time, but I wonder if anybody has any questions they would like to ask you and Andrew about your experiences with protests and gatherings. There may be a question or two.
Yeah, that'd be great. Yeah.
Are you willing, Andrew?
Yeah, fine.
So I have one to start us off. Everybody be thinking whatever questions you have. But you mentioned, Michael, about meeting the two African American girls, and they had said that they felt they did not have a voice, they were not allowed to speak. I was wondering, can you tell me a little bit more about that situation?
Well, these two girls were there must have been delegates in there, and they came and joined us on the vigil, and we were talking about. I said to them, and another lady said, "We're really thankful for what you're doing in there," and she just said to me, the girl just said to me, "We're there, but they won't let us have our say. They wouldn't let them speak." So that's that was it. She went there now to go in. So
yeah, so it turns out, can I just say, so it turns out that nearly 3/4 of all the speeches that were held at inside COP were from white male candidates from the north, from rich countries. And so the indigenous peoples from around the world weren't given as much airtime as people like me.
And who arranges for folks to speak? Who's in charge of the airtime? Do you know? Or is it just whoever can get the mic?
I think it was all planned. And it's planned by the people that are running the COP for that year. So it was decided who would speak. It was interesting as well to see how many lobbyists were in. There were more lobbyists for fossil fuel companies than there were indigenous people at COP26.
And they were given the right to speak?
Some were given the right to speak, yes, they were.
Interesting. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, I'd like to know how to get to the next one. How did those people get chosen to be delegates, or did some of them have to pay for the pleasure?
I think to answer that, there was the youth came in on a Greenpeace ship. They were refused entry into Glasgow, but they just ignored that, and they sailed right up to COP26. Some of those youth were speaking at COP26 as well. I think they do get chosen based on what if they've been activists in the past and have something good to say. Like Greta, for example, will always get to speak at those sort of events. But there are many other young climate activists around the world.
Yes, there are. Okay, are there other questions? Somebody have a question? Well, I have another. How many protests or activist events, they aren't all protests sometimes, I'm sure, but how many have you been to?
So the major ones, so COP26, and then I've been to 2 other major rebellions in London. But then there's quite a few local ones as well, happening all the time. I think every week there'll be a protest of some sort happening around the UK. And all this will be coordinated by Christian Climate Action and by Extinction Rebellion. Interestingly, they use a number of apps to get their message across to their people. And these apps are, they can't be deciphered by the police. So whereas the police can get onto Facebook and find you and see what you've been saying, and they can do this with lots of other types of media, the ones that Extinction Rebellion are using now, they can't hack into. So
Yeah,
it's secret until the day it actually happens.
Yeah, I've done London, Birmingham, COP26, and local ones. Some of those local ones with Andrew as well in Chesterfield.
Yeah.
And Rufus has had a go as well.
Rufus is
dog.
my dog.
Of course. And have you had any difficult encounters?
So we've always decided that we are non-arrestables. And what's great about the campaigning and the process that we go to is you get the option to be arrestable or non-arrestable. And so people make the decision that they want to be arrested. The more people that are arrested, the higher it becomes a priority for that government who are in power, because they have to deal with the cost of it. And the cost can run into millions, even billions. So it is important that people are available to be arrested. But for us, we always decide that wasn't the case. Now, we know that when we're out on protest, there is a possibility that there will be an order that comes from on high, and they might decide to detain people anyway, whether they are deemed arrestable or not. And that sometimes happens. There was occasion when I was out with a group of cyclists who were protesting about road transport in London, and they went onto a bridge, and the bridge was blocked off one end by police, and the police then blocked the other end off, and they used the technique called kettling, where they basically just reduce the size of that area as much as they can until you sort of get the number of people that are there. So they decided to arrest everybody on the bridge. I was on the bridge at the time, and I could see this was what was happening, and I was able to get out between 2 police vehicles and away. So I didn't get arrested, but I do know a number of people that did. And they even arrested members of the public, and the legal teams that were there got arrested as well. Later, it was deemed that this arrest was illegal, and so nobody was charged. But
A lot of my friends got arrested on that day. I was out shopping instead. I missed it that day.
So how do you communicate to everybody, including the police, that you are not arrestable, that you are not going to be one that they should arrest?
So it's normally obvious that you need to do something to break the law in order to be arrested. Now it might be that
your actions then.
Your actions, yeah. So if you're the person that is spraying chalk and writing on the side of buildings, or spraying fake blood on the floor, or lying in the road so that the road is blocked, then those people are arrested. The police will normally warn, and they'll say, you need to get off this road now or you'll be arrested. And that's normally the sign for the rest of us to step out. We don't go very far if we're arrested for sports. We might just go onto the curbside on the sidewalk and continue to observe. And while the arrest is taking place, they do allow observers, to come in closer to make notes about what the arrest was like and whether the police were in fact arresting lawfully or not.
I could see the police would want witnesses to verify their actions as well as,
That's right. Yeah, they want to do things right, and us being there taking notes is important to that.
Yeah, because after we've taken those notes and found out where those people are going, we go and ring up a number with XR where they're taking down all the details and stuff. But it's good that the police have to give you 5 minutes before they can arrest you, because you can say, okay, bye-bye, I'm gone.
I think people tend not to realise how organised XR are. I mean, they have legal teams on the sites and legal observers who are trained lawyers who will go into situations where arrests have been made and just make sure they're all done properly. And then there's the teams like Michael and I with the arrestee support. And then we communicate that to a back office who then coordinates cars to be ready outside police stations to pick up people who have been arrested. It's all very well organised and incredibly organised, really.
Well, thank you. Thank you, Michael, for sharing your artwork and your experiences with. That was amazing. I really enjoyed it. And Andrew, thank you for chipping in and helping to answer questions also. I would like to take the privilege of hosting to offer a prayer for all those who are involved in protests and demonstrations. So if you would bow with me. God, we are your children. And I present to you now all of those children of yours who have the courage to risk something new. You call us to stand for justice and peace. You call us to give voice to the voiceless and take action for those who can't act for themselves. And so I ask that you would bless Michael, bless Andrew, bless all of those who have the courage to risk in that way. Give them insight and inspiration. Guide their decisions and their actions. Prompt their peaceful, pacifistic stances and help them to react peacefully even in aggressive situations. I know you are with them as you are with each of us. But I pray that they will be so open and aware of your presence, that they'll be aware of your whisper, your gentle nudging, your guidance, especially in situations of danger or divisiveness. They are the ones who stand in the breach and who have opportunities to build relationships with those who are oppressed. And I ask that you would continue to guide and bless their efforts. We recognize and grieve for those who've lost their lives in protest actions and demonstrations, not just in my country or their country, but all around the world. I'm sure that when we actually think about the global situation, there are far more people who are killed because of demonstrations and protests than we are even aware of. Comfort their families, their cause not to be forgotten or lost. And help each of us to remember and support, pray for, and when the right time comes, join them in protesting and demonstrating for what we know to be right. Thank you again for their lives, their influence, their touch in our life. I place them all in your hands for protection, for safety, for blessing. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Thank you, Susan.